How's it going, guys? Just watched episode 79 of the latest Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 episode. The episode was called The Enlightened Paladin, and it was pretty good, to be honest with you. So, Shinji's going on. He's like, oh, we need to start a revolution. This is the only way we can change the world. Everyone, all the commons have been oppressed for so long. We need to fight back, and that is the only way things are going to change. And Yuya's like, no. We need to, well, what I want to do is change the world through my dueling, which is going to make people smile. So, that's Yuya's way of changing the world, apparently. We hear Roger saying that, the head of security, he's saying that all these commons, even though they're sort of like getting all riled up and agreeing with Shinji, they've been oppressed for so long, all they are is just all bark and no bite, so they'll just yell at the top of their voices, but they won't ever do anything about it. We see Crow as well, after Shinji gives his little speech on oppression and everything. Crow says that there is actually another way, which was through Jack, because Jack's like the leader of everything. However, he says that Jack kind of didn't do anything. He let the fame and fortune just kind of have its way with him, and he just stuck to that, and he didn't do anything. Crow actually agrees with Shinji, because they said that Jack and Crow were going to be like, not bad guys, but they were going to be kind of like enemies. So since Crow's kind of agreeing with Shinji, and Jack's not really doing anything, they're kind of bad guys. But I'd argue that there's a little bit more to Jack, because we see him smile a couple of times when Yusei starts winning, or when he uses the tuner monster, which we'll get to a bit later. Shinji basically kicks things off by tuning the 8-star monster, let me just remember his name, Star B-Force Hammer the Evil Crushing Bow. It has 2800 attack, and its effect basically, whatever life point damage you inflict, you can reduce the attack of another monster by that amount. And Shinji actually goes for the attack, he attacks, and Yuya uses his ability, basically a Necro Gardener kind of thing. It's a card, I think it's called Shield Balloon. He discards it from his hand and it reduces the battle damage he would have taken. But he has another attack, and he goes to attack again, and surprise, Yuya saves himself with a action card, which is, this action card lets you use any action card in your graveyard, so he uses the one he used before, so he reduces all effect damage. So he saves himself like that again for an action card. Action cards are basically the aspals of this show. I do prefer it rather than they always have some way of getting out of things, but I don't mind. It's all right. I can get on with it. So Yu actually does something quite new. Well, I think it's quite new for a Yu-Gi-Oh series. He activates a card and he says, if I draw a monster, it gets special summoned to the field, but I can't summon anymore or something like this. If I get a spell or a trap, it's banished, and if I get a pendulum monster, then it goes to my extra deck, and he wants that so that he can use one of his monster's abilities to inflict more damage, even though it won't win in the duel. And he draws his card, and he gets Tuning Magician, and this is not something he wanted, so he's a bit like cringe at it at the moment, and he gets special summoned to the field, damages him by 400, and increases his opponent's life points by 400, that's really important. The entire crowd thinks it's shit, they're like, why would you do that, you've just done a bad move. But when everyone starts slagging off his card, he's like, no, there's greatness in any card. This card isn't trying to hurt me. There's a purpose to this, which was quite cool. I'd forgot about this, but you got this card from the lad called Sam, who was the little bar butler guy with the funny like nose. I don't like his nose. And I'd forgotten that kid got that card from Jack when he met him once. And when he got the card, he thought Jack was taking the piss out of him, saying, this is a card that is made for you. And he was like, well, this is shit. What are you saying? I'm a piece of shit or something? He didn't say it like that, but he thought it. And you can kind of tell where this is going, because he's losing damage, and the commentator's like, oh, Yuya's got 900 life points and Shinji's got 3,800, and he keeps updating the difference in the life points. They never do that in Yu-Gi-Oh! They never like make a big thing over life points, because the duels can change all the time. So you know something's going to happen. We see that Yuya draws Monster Reborn. Now, I can't remember the last time Monster Reborn was in a Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. It's like the last time I've seen one in there. It was, I think, the original series, and Yu-Gi-Oh! GX it definitely in. I don't remember it being in Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, and I think Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds it didn't appear at all, because I did an episode of Monster Reborn on my trivia series, and I'm sure it didn't. This was quite cool, I like this. He activates Monster Reborn, and then it goes into this like little purple world, which is like inside Yuya's mind. And it shows him all the monsters in his graveyard, and he's like looking at them, and he's seeing the options, what they can do. So he looks at his opponent's synchro monster in his grave, and he's like, I could take this card, and I could do some damage, but it won't get over his monster and stuff. And then he sees the Tuning Magician, and he looks at it, and he's like, that is what this is for. He summons Tuning Magician and 2 Pendulum monsters, and he tunes to synchro summon. That's right, Yuya has officially synchro summoned. He summons the Enlightenment Paladin. His effect is basically you can add one spell card from your graveyard to your hand, and he chooses to add gap difference. I forgot the name of the card, but I did call this in the last episode. So he adds that, and the difference between his life points, this is what the spell card does, difference between his life points and his opponent's life points, half of that gets added to the monster's attack. And since it had 2,500 attack, it gets like 1,750 extra attacks. He's got 4,250. Shinji has 4,000 attack, and he attacks that monster and destroys it and does 250 damage. Then he's like, wait, we have one more effect. Basically, it's got the same ability as Flame Wingman, so when I destroy your monster, it inflicts the same amount of attack points you have to your life points. So it does that, inflicts 4,000 damage, and Shinji loses, and Yuya wins. Simple as that. We see Jack does a little smirk when he wins, or it was when he summons his monster. Crow looks shocked, and Shinji doesn't look very happy, but yeah, that kind of how the episode ends. I didn't look at the preview for the next episode, so I can't really talk about that, but what I would like to know is, what did you guys think of the episode? Was this an ass pull by Yuya, or did you think it was really clever the way he got this monster out and how the duel was set up? I actually thought this is one of the best duels of the series so far. I thought it was really interesting. There was a lot at stake kind of thing, but yeah. Other than that, let me know what you thought, and thanks a lot for watching.